Time for a mystical relationship. Is that time now? Okay. All right. Okay, relationships, what I call it guardians of the heart. And that's if you're developing, and I don't want to call it evolving because that's kind of transcendental narcissism, like I'm more evolved than you kind of thing. Just developing. You're going to develop, and some people are not going to be able to respond because they're still into the fear-based, and it's going to be very difficult. So then relationships have to be created with some level of development so that you can connect. And as I said, you can't go back. You cannot go back anymore because you'll be miserable if you do. Actually, you get sick if you go back and you leave the journey. And then relationships don't fit the type of modernism that we have now with our culture, or our society. It's not really culture, our society. Let me give you a difference. Spain was dominated by the Arabs for 700 years. They maintained the language. The only thing that we kept was the flamenco and a few other words, and that was it. Social, Arabic. Cultural, Spanish. Cultures are very difficult to get rid of. So, our society, our pop psychology has taught us that my needs and take care of my needs and let's exchange needs, that's really good if you're a robot, but it doesn't work very well if you're a human being. And rather than the typical marital therapy that tells you, okay, write down your needs, and you write down your needs, and then you exchange, it doesn't work. Compromises don't work. They don't work. They're terrible. A reason that why compromises don't work. You like football, somebody likes soccer, okay? And you say, okay, we'll go to your soccer game, and we'll go to your whatever. What happens when you're going for the other person, you're going to resent it, and the person who's taking you will feel guilty. And the other way around. What you do is you create a win-win where it supersedes the two. And then you collude, enjoy, and then do your thing on your own.
Like what? Both of you go to tennis instead?
Right. So whatever you find great. That you decide whatever it is that you love more than the two, and that's what you join. Otherwise, what happens? No, you don't compromise. No. Why? Why? Why do you want to compromise?
I mean, if you both get out of your corners and choose something new,
No, that's a win-win. Compromising is to give
Daniel? Oh. And it was one of the boys. Frank, what did you say? Everyone wants to know. He's buying his book.
Do not compromise and honor your womanhood and honor your manhood. Very important. Well, I'll talk in. But anyway, the guardians of the heart, what you do is I think that we come in, and this just ties in so well with the kind of things that Carolyn is talking about. We come in with one of three wounds into relationships, or sometimes all three. Some people don't. They're not everybody. These wounds are not victimhood wounds. These are wounds equals challenge. A wound is a challenge. It's not something to be, to suffer from and manipulate people. You come into a relationship with one of those wounds, and there are only three, I think: abandonment, shame, and betrayal. That's it. You can do anything you want, and you'll find that you can subsume them under those three. And you come in with one of those or three of those, and the other person comes in with that wound also. You come into that relationship not to manipulate with the wounds, but to heal each other as heroes. That's the reason for a relationship. But what we do in this my needs kind of thing is that we learn to manipulate, and when somebody comes to you, your partner comes to you and says, here's my wound, the other person says, oh, okay, let me put some salt. That's what we do in relationships. And that's why you have to then, in order to grow, you have to create what I call the covenant of safety. And the covenant of safety occurs when you commit to become the guardian of your partner's wounds. This will not work with sociopaths. Don't try it. It doesn't work. Sociopath sees an offer as an opportunity to take advantage of you. But if you have a fairly healthy person, if you commit to guard the vulnerabilities of the other person and they protect your vulnerabilities, then you can grow and heal the challenges They're not wounds, they're challenges, but you have to call them wounds to kind of move forward. And then, do they ever get better? Yes, but you never get rid of them because you have to have a challenge. The moment you stop having a challenge, your immune system says, it's time to go. People that retire without a passion live on an average 4 to 5 years watching the sunset in California or Florida. You don't want to retire. You want to shift passions. Very important. Because that's from a Darwinian point of view, you're not producing anymore, But I think you can trick the Darwinian system, which is very primitive, by the way. We're not just Darwinian. You can trick it by, if you don't want to make children anymore, then you create symbols, you create love, you create relationships, you create whatever, and the immune system continues to function as if you're productive. You're not out to pasture. So in the Guardians of the Heart, you have these 3 wounds, and you agree to honor those 3, the vulnerability of your partner. You create the covenant of safety, and then you create, each wound has a healing field that you then agree to create with each other. So let's say if you have an abandonment wound, challenge, you're going to need a commitment healing field. If you have a betrayal, you're going to have to create a loyalty healing field. And if you have a abandonment, betrayal, and shame, then you have to create an honoring field. So, now, and this is what Carolyn talks about symbols. That's so extremely important. If you go by evidence, you're going to be Newtonian. You go by the cause, and from cell to the upper level and so forth. We're taught Newtonian medicine, Newtonian psychology, Newtonian everything. You have to go quantum. And what you do is, if you go by evidence, you can't use this system because it's limited. And this is why you have problems with relationships. So let's say that you get home and you're very, very angry. Okay, so if you're angry, your script, and let's say you have an abandonment wound, you're going to have abandonment scripts, which is, I'm going to challenge you to abandon me. Okay? It's like flunk now, avoid the June rush. It's what you're doing. So you get home with the abandonment wound or challenge, and usually what your partner does is does abandonment behaviors to prove to you that you're right. But if you go to the symbol, and the symbol is totally unconditional, you can always go to the symbol, it's always there, it never changes, it's immutable. The symbol of abandonment, or the healing symbol of abandonment, is commitment. So you tell your partner, what can I do for you right now to give you my commitment? What can I do right now to give you my commitment? Worst scenario, I don't want a damn thing from you. Okay, fine. When you're ready, I'm here to give you my commitment. And if you do that, I mean, I had a couple I was working with, and this man had an abandonment fear. And he was very angry, and they were going to start, and it was Friday night, and oh my God, I don't want to, get drained with this. And I never get drained. I don't let him drain me. But I told him, okay, let's put this to use now. What is his wound? Abandonment. Okay. So the wife gets up, and she looks at him, and she says, what is it that I can give you right now to show you my commitment? He says, nothing. So what can I give you right now to show you my love? And he just started crying, and he says, I'm so afraid you're going to leave me. And get it over. That's right. And she said, forget it. I'm not going to leave you. So do whatever you want. I'm not going to leave you. If you want to leave me, you can leave me. But I'm not. Don't put it on me. And he says, no, I don't want to leave you. I'm just so afraid. They had a great evening. But that's the only way. You have to jump to the symbol. You have to ride the symbol when the evidence doesn't support the behavior. And you can't go wrong. I mean, the symbol is always there. And we live and die by symbols. That's the guardianship.